Planet Baldus, a barren, empty world. Some say with a hollow core. It is highly believed that there will never be any intelligent life on Baldus, given the terrain. And okay, I'm starting to sound like a National Geographic special on my own head. Uh, Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, which means we won't be back till Monday. Just remember that. Thank you to the FMLA gods. I will not be in here again tomorrow. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, but there's so much you can take, mentally, physically, and all that, before you finally say enough is enough. It's people are like, oh man, how could you? I said, come on, I got people in here who, I'm not even going to go. It's their business, and I'm not going to pry. But literally, it's like, come on, 6 days in a row, one day off, 6 days in a row, and finally, then you work again, then you get one day off, then you come back, then you get a weekend. You finally get a full weekend. I got tired of that nonsense right away. But what I'm trying to say in the title of this, I'm really trying. I'm really trying to be positive, but the truth is, if they had any good news about the Disney Plus renewal, it would have been announced already. The fact that they're dragging their feet, and now they've said War Between the Land and the Sea is not airing till sometime vaguely next year. Matter of fact, there are projections they may even air it on New Year's Day. Good, I hope so. And I'm really trying to remain positive about the future of Doctor Who, but I can't, because everything in my gut is telling me they blew it. Sure, you've gotten Critics' Choice Awards, and you've gotten, like I said, you finally got an Emmy after all these decades, and it was for choreography, for a completely unneeded dance segment. And it's beginning to look like, to me, the reason why you threw these... Don't get me wrong, there have been dance segments and all that in Doctor Who and all that, but they were part of the story, and you could see why. It was there. This was just thrown in for shits and giggles. 2.5 minutes you could have used, helping to prop the plot up. And then you look at some of the stories, and I go back. Like I said, a lot of them were good stories. And that's the same thing across every season going back to the beginning of the series, since it, way back in the day. And you're going to have good episodes and you're going to have bad episodes. Well, back then you had good serials and you had bad serials, but that's a whole different ballpark. But when you end your 2 seasons off and then you finally do a finale and you suddenly literally pull the ending, that they did for Verada Sethu's character of Belinda. Yeah, I'm doing that purposely because I'm being mean, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, the last 2 finales are garbage. And I keep going back and I keep watching The Empire of Death. I'm like, why did I rate this so highly? Was it because maybe I was just excited that Sutek came back? And it took me all this time to go back and rewatch it. I'm like, they took the God of Death for walkies. Sutek, for some reason, was not going to wipe out little, Ruby. For what reason? Just let Ruby Sunday walk up and hook up the thing to his collar so he can take him for walkies into the time vortex where he's been hanging on the back of the TARDIS for millennia, apparently. Oh. Literally, he pulled that series ending and then he pulled that series finale out of his ass. And I'm going to realign the time vortex to bring back into existence a child that didn't exist in the first place. Oy vey. It just saddened me that, they went that direction. And there was all this unnecessary characters you didn't need. And, well, some of his finales back in the day were pretty good. But then these were horrible in the new era. Exactly. Why would Sutek give a shit? Especially when it turns out Ruby's mom was just, oh, look, she's plain ordinary. Oh, yeah, she just happens to point midair at signs to name her kid. All right, but The point is, I'm trying to remain positive, but like I said, look at other TV series out there that have aired and were immediately boom, 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 you've got a renewal. There was no waiting, there was no negotiation. It was bam, this is a hit, we're keeping it. Oh, yep, here we go. Here come the trolls because they got nothing better to do with their lives. All right. Actually, no, I do not know what that feels like, Kid Cootie. And if you don't know how to wipe your own ass by now, then I'm sorry. Maybe you should go back to wearing a helmet. All right, next. I'm really trying to remain positive about Doctor Who and the future of it, but I can't. I really need to go look back, see how many views the season got as a whole. What were the views like for the episodes? Like I said, overnight ratings don't mean anything anymore. And I wish some of these guys, like Nardi and the Drunkard, would wake up and realize that overnight figures mean nothing. Everything's gone to streaming. It doesn't matter how many people in England watched that show that night. It depends on how much it was viewed after it was put up. And I'm not kidding. If I was RTD, like I said, oh God, I'm going to catch flack for this. I've written some bad things in my time, but I'm not a professional. I was never a professional, and I never rated myself as more than an amateur writer, okay? I can write really good stuff when I want to, but at the same time, I'm not Ivy League potential there, okay? But if I was a professional writer and I wrote something like what we've seen, I would be wearing a bag over my head in public. My Instagram would just be me with a bag of shame over my head. And in big letters, in like rainbow colored striped letters, on the front of the bag would be, I'm sorry. Ugh. And as you can tell, if you've ever listened to any of my audio plays, a lot of stuff I do pull out of my ass. Okay, it's just, I like to do it and have fun, all right? And I got a lot of ideas written down. I got a lot of ideas, but it's just for some dumb reason, thank you, ADHD, and many other things, I have never really sat down and finished any of them. Like, I was even thinking about doing a spin-off with just Krill and his adventures on Earth, because I was so inspired by Resident Alien and all that, but at the same time, I'd feel like I'm just copying Resident Alien if I did my idea, but... Wait, somebody's strange truck pulled up in the driveway. Well, Space Babies, like I said, I was entertained by it, but you're right, it should have never been a season opener. I can see where if you popped it in as a filler later in the series, to me, I got a laugh out of it and I enjoyed it, but no, you didn't really want to start the series off that way. Yeah, we've got security cameras, we've got security lights and all that, so lately a lot of weird things going on in the neighborhood, but like I said, Lady G's on top of it. Plus we've got really nice neighbors, they've got cameras, they've got lights. So everything is recorded. I once wanted to put a camera in the bathroom so you can see me do my nude foo-foo dance in the shower. But then there would be Bigfoot sightings reported all across the internet. Okay, there's a bald Bigfoot in the shower. Okay, all right. But once again, like I said, I'm trying to remain positive, but the truth is, if they had good news, it would have already been splattered across everything from the Mirror to the Guardian to the Times to everything. It would have already been all over the internet. They've been renewed. And they're relying on War Between the Land and the Sea. And what they're really going to do a thing about Unit after what he did to Unit the last 2 seasons? He made Unit a joke. They offered Donna Noble a job, and instead they hire, what's her name? What was the character's name? Rose Noble. And I'm like, Rose Noble was just a placeholder. And then they've got, we don't, what do you call it? Wheelchairs with built-in weaponry. Well, what I'm more worried about Black Phoenix is it's going to turn out to be like Splash. If anybody remembers that movie back in the day with Daryl Hannah and all that. Shape of Water was way better. I got to say that, but I did like that movie. All right. But the fact is, they're saying, well, Disney's waiting till after. Folks, the fans were saying that. And now everybody's holding it up as gospel. And it's like, guys, if you didn't have a renewal after the main show aired, you're in trouble. The spinoff is not going to save you. No matter how well it does, the spinoff is not your main show. And also, the second I saw Billie Piper pop up at the end, it's not that I have any, disrespect or don't believe in her abilities to do the job. I think she could be an excellent doctor. It's just, that was an ultimate F you to anybody who's going to pick up after this. It was a, please pick us up. I've got this surprise in mind. Meanwhile, it never says she's the doctor in the credits, which means they didn't even sign papers or anything, which means there's no guarantee of it, Well, the thing is, you said you don't want her to be the doctor. Exactly, desperate stunt casting. I give everybody a chance who steps into that role. Because, but the thing is, I think RTD did it as basically a big middle finger to whoever comes next. Because I don't, look at, he's already picked up other projects and all that. And I don't think, like I said, my gut feeling is telling me that things aren't looking so good. We're putting out things saying we're going to put on Doctor Who whether we have Disney Plus's support or not. That right there tells me Disney Plus is not 100% on board at this point. Then they're going to decide after we air the spinoff. If Disney Plus is waiting till after you air the spinoff, that means your main show must not have impressed them. Because as I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, for new people who've come in, look at Walking Dead. Had a 6-episode introductory season. By the end of the second episode, they were renewed for another series. Fallout. By the end of Series 1, they were renewed for Series 2, and then we found out they're already renewed for Series 3, and Series 2 doesn't air till this December. Look at all the other shows that were hits, that were renewed, boom, 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 right off the bat. But also, the other problem is Disney Plus itself. Disney is this torrid history of where they'll get invested into something or they'll start producing something, and then 1 or 2 series later, they just conveniently forget it and go on to something else. They've done this with I don't know how many animated projects back in the day. Like Tailspin, the original, like Darkwing Duck, the Scrooge McDuck stuff back in the DuckTales back in the day before they decided to revitalize it and then forget it again. They put out 2 or 3 series of a thing and then move on to something else. Lately with Star Wars, it's because they ain't got no other choice. Okay, no, I highly doubt you're going to see Billie Piper in War Between the Land and the Sea, because they've even Billie Piper has admitted that she was called in literally at the last minute as a favored RTD to do that pop-up announcement. So no, because War Between the Land and the Sea was done a long time ago before that even was done. So, well, Disney does have a lot of problems, and that's the other problem. Look at the asshole light. They threw away like $350 million, I think, on that series. And it bombed. It bombed hard. It bombed so hard it left a crater that your grandchildren are going to feel, and their grandchildren are going to feel. And look at what they've done to Star Wars. They took one of the best franchises out there and completely destroyed it. Like, well, the exception of The Mandalorian, but even then, Series 3 wasn't as good as the first two. I don't know why everybody's shitting on Book of Boba Fett, because look at what Book of Boba Fett gave us. What we wanted in the first place. Luke Skywalker as a Jedi Master. Just for one episode. And that's what we wanted from the sequels. And oh, well. Okay, I'm over time. I got to get inside. So please, everybody, please, it's Friday. Be kind, be calm, be safe. We're all anxiously awaiting some kind of news, but now they've put it off till sometime next year when they decide to air the spinoff. So they just need to come out and admit it. Disney Plus is not interested. If we were interested, we'd have known by now. So take care, everyone. We'll see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend.